Chapter 8. How to Become a Millionaire. I've already pointed out that there are more opportunities for people to become millionaires in the years ahead than ever before. But the basic rules for becoming a millionaire have never changed. Spend less than you earn. As I emphasized in the previous chapter, spend less than you earn and save or invest the balance. Some years ago, I was doing a seminar on financial success and achievement. At the break, several well-dressed people were standing around me at the bottom of the stage. A young man came pushing through the crowd. He was obviously not all together. He was dressed poorly, and as soon as he began to speak, it was clear that he had a mental problem. He said, "Mr. Tracy, can I be a success too?" I didn't know what to say to him. Then he went on to speak. He said, "Mr. Tracy, I live in a group home," which tells you what his life situation was like. He said, "We repair furniture," which told you his level of competence. "Mr. Tracy," he said, "every month I save $100. If I do that, will I be a success?" As it happened, the day before, I'd been reading compound interest tables, which I don't read that often. I found that if you saved $100 a month, you invested in a good mutual fund that increased at 10% per annum, and you did that from the age of 20 to age 65, you'd be worth $1,118,000. That young man, with no advantages going for him at all, had been given some good advice by someone. He saved $100 a month from his earnings, and he would end up one of the richest people in society. He'd end up richer than doctors, lawyers, architects, engineers, and business people who did not save as much as he did. As Albert Einstein said, compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. Investing $100 a month on a regular basis will make you rich. Think of what $200 or $300 or $500 a month would do. Spend less than you earn. Pay yourself first. Save 10% off the top of every paycheck and live on the rest. If you can't do this, as I said in the previous chapter, start with 1% and live on 99% until you develop the habit and it becomes easy and automatic for you to live on less. When I was a young man and I was just starting off, Lloyd Conant, the founder of the Nightingale Conant audio company, said, "Brian, you have the potential ability to earn a lot of money in life. Remember this, it's not how much you earn, but how much you keep that counts." How do you keep your money? Simple. Delay, defer, procrastinate on every expenditure. If you're thinking about buying a house, a car, or a boat, or taking a trip, give yourself 30 days to decide. Never be rushed into big expenditure, even if it's a stereo. The most amazing thing happens. If you think about a big expenditure for a while, your desire to buy it will drift away. You think, I might be better off saving that money, putting it into something that grows rather than spending it at this time. This is the mindset of self-made millionaires. Never buy new when you can buy used. Studies of self-made millionaires show that they never buy new cars. Why? Because if you buy a new car, you lose 30% of the car's value when you drive it off the lot, because of depreciation. Self-made millionaires buy good cars that are 2 or 3 years old. All the depreciation is out of them, but they're still under warranty. They'll buy a car and drive it for 10 years until it falls apart. They'll take all the money that people use to buy new cars and they'll buy property, invest carefully in their business, and put the money where it grows. If you were to just buy a used car every 10 years and drive it till the wheels fell off, take all that extra money and invest it carefully, that would give you a quantum leap toward financial independence. Track your spending. Count your pennies, and the dollars will take care of themselves. A recent study showed that people who track their expenditures save 50% more than people who don't. Keep a little spiral notebook in your pocket. Every time you spend money on something, write it down. Psychologists have found that writing something down brings it to your awareness. You're much more attentive to it. If you buy a double frappe non-fat cappuccino latte at a cafe for $4.35, you write it down. If you buy a newspaper or a Coke, you write it down. If you go out for lunch, you write it down. As you do this and you track your numbers, you automatically start to spend less. People who do this for 1 month find themselves spending 50% less, because many of the expenditures we make are mindless. We don't even think about them. Add value. As I've already said, all wealth comes from adding value in some way. You add value by doing more important things. You find the things that are the most important to your customers and do those things for them. You add value by doing things faster, cheaper, better. This is the key to success in business: faster, cheaper, better. Every single day, look for a way to serve your customers faster, cheaper, better. You also add value by reducing costs and by giving people more of what they want and need at prices they're willing and able to pay. Remember the famous quote from motivational speaker Zig Ziglar: "You can get everything you want in life if you just help other people get the things that they want." That's the key to becoming wealthy. Where millionaires come from. Where do self-made millionaires come from in America? Entrepreneurs make up 74% of them. Look at your great entrepreneurs. Bill Gates, his partner Paul Allen, Warren Buffett, Larry Ellison, Michael Dell, Sam Moulton. They all started with nothing. They started their own businesses with a little bit of money and a lot of sweat equity. Actually, the number one source of millionaire entrepreneurship is cell phone businesses. The second source of self-made millionaires, 10%, is well-paid executives, people who work for large companies and are well-paid, get stock options, and hold on to their money. The third category of self-made millionaires, another 10%, consists of professionals, doctors, lawyers, architects, engineers, who are successful in their practices and accumulate money. The next group, 5% of self-made millionaires, are salespeople. Maybe they worked for the same company or for many companies, but they sold all their lives. They made a lot of money, and they put that money away and held on to it. What's the most important skill for attaining wealth? Sales. Success in entrepreneurship is based on your ability to start a business and sell something. If you combine the categories of entrepreneurs and salespeople, 74% plus 5%, you see that 79% of individuals have become millionaires through sales. The last 1% of non-inherited wealth comes from all other sources: writers, movie stars, inventors. From the newspapers and magazines, you may think that these are the primary source of wealth in America. People who accidentally stumble into money or win a lottery or become rock stars are very rare. Almost all of your potential for success rests on your ability to start a business and sell a product or service. Qualities of millionaires. The number one quality of self-made millionaires is honesty. Earl Nightingale used to say that if honesty did not exist, it would have to be invented as the surest way to getting rich. The reason is simple. All business is based on trust. Nobody can succeed in business unless everybody trusts them. Their customers have to trust them when they sell their products or services. Their staff has to trust them. The bank has to trust them. Their suppliers have to trust them. You'll find that business people are some of the most honest people you'll ever meet. When a business person is dishonest, it gets into the newspapers. But out of the 26 million businesses in America, only a tiny fraction are actually dishonest. Because if you are dishonest in business, you're finished. You have to move to another country. You can never start again because your integrity has been compromised. The second quality of self-made millionaires is self-discipline. After decades of research, Napoleon Hill concluded that self-discipline is the master key to riches. The discipline to make yourself do what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is the key. Get yourself up in the morning. Get yourself working. Concentrate on high-priority tasks. Pay the price of success and advance. I'll say more about self-discipline in Chapter 10. The third quality of self-made millionaires is getting along well with others. To be successful, self-made millionaires have to please a large number of people. They're likable. People like them and are willing to buy from them. People are willing to work with them and for them. People are willing to lend them money. Taking the time to be nice to people is extremely important. Furthermore, most self-made millionaires have supportive spouses. Having a spouse who stands behind you saves an enormous amount of energy. You're not spending half of your life going out on dates. All the energy that you would spend on a problem marriage or relationship or on finding a partner is available for you to focus on your business. Behind almost every self-made millionaire or billionaire, there is a woman who supports him all the time. Behind almost every self-made female millionaire or multimillionaire, there's a strong man as well. The fifth quality of self-made millionaires is that they are hard workers. In interviews with tens of thousands of them, they were asked how they managed to accumulate $1 million in one lifetime. 85% of them said the same thing. I wasn't the sharpest one in school. I didn't get good grades. I saw that a lot of people had more going on for them than me, but I was willing to work harder than they were. They weren't willing to work as hard as I was. At a recent conference, the president of a large national corporation told a motivational story about a friend of his who had won 7 Ironman triathlons in Hawaii in a row. This is the toughest triathlon in the world. You have to run 26.4 miles, swim 3.5 miles, and ride a bicycle 125 miles. The president asked his friend, "How could you run and win that many triathlons in the greatest competition in the world?" His friend replied, "Well, a lot of them have better physical structure than me, but I win because they're not willing to take the pain that I'm willing to take." Isn't that the reason for success? Successful people are all willing to take the pain, the long nights, the long weekends, the worry, the stress, the difficulty, and keep on kicking on. The sixth quality of self-made millionaires is that they do what they love to do. Most self-made millionaires will tell you, "I never worked a day in my life. I just do what I love to do, and I get paid well for it." As you experiment and try different jobs and careers, look for something you really enjoy. If you are in sales, look for a product that you love, that you use, that you are excited about. Look for customers you love to sell to. Look for markets you love to work in, so that when you do go to work, you're happy all the time. You'll find it essential for success to do something that you love. Offer a product you love. Sell to people that you really care about. If that doesn't fit the description now, try something else. It doesn't mean that you're the wrong person. It may just mean that you're in the wrong place at this time. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. My good friend, Robert Kiyosaki, is famous for his Rich Dad, Poor Dad philosophy. He puts people into 4 categories. The first category is employees. They work for a salary. They don't get any tax benefits aside from what comes off their paycheck. It's very hard for a person working for a salary to achieve financial independence. As my friend Mark Victor Hansen says, they have a job, and the word job stands for just over broke. The second category of people is the self-employed. These are independent contractors. They work on commissions, they work on income, they work on bonuses, but they're lone wolves. The third category is entrepreneurs. These are lone wolves as well, but they have people working for them who are doing specialized tasks, so they get more done than they would as individuals. The fourth group of people is investors. They invest their money to create income sources, or what we call passive income. They invest in a company or a business that is run by others and throws off steady profits, such as oil wells or commercial or residential real estate. Wealth is income from other sources. I have a good friend who came from Lebanon many years ago, unable to speak English, and is now worth an enormous amount of money. One day years ago, he asked me, "Brian, how much money do you make?" I said, "Well, I'm doing pretty well. I would guess, based on my knowledge of your business, that you're making about this amount of money." He was pretty accurate. He asked, "How many wealth sources do you have aside from your work?" "What do you mean?" "If you stopped working, how much money would you have?" If I stopped working, if it would all stop, it would be like a car coming to a halt when it runs out of gas. Then you're not wealthy at all. You're making a lot of money, but you're not wealthy. You're only wealthy when you have money coming in, whether you work or not. That was like a slap in the face with a wet fish. I changed my entire financial life. I began thinking more seriously about developing assets, investing, and so on. Because wealth is money in the mailbox. Wealth is money that comes in whether you work or not. In the Rich Dad, Poor Dad philosophy, your goal is to move from employee, by saving your money, to self-employed, by working on commission, to entrepreneur, by having people work for you, to investor, where your money works for you, and the money comes in whether you work or not. The rule in life is that you start off with nothing, as is the tradition in American society. It's like lining up for a big marathon. Everybody starts off running. Some people will win. Some people will stay back in the pack. Some people will come in after everybody's gone home. You start out with lots of time, but no money. Over the course of your working lifetime, your goal is to change that ratio so that you have less time as you get older, but more money. You finally cross over to the point where your money is earning more than you are. At that point, you can resign and work full-time managing your money. That's your goal. Early in life, you trade time for money. Later in life, you trade money for time. Keys to personal financial planning. Here are some keys for personal financial planning. The first is targeting. Targeting means that you set clear financial goals for your life. You determine your annual income goal this year, next year, and the year after. You determine your monthly savings goal. How much are you going to save each month? Write it down on the upper right-hand corner of a piece of paper. The very act of writing these numbers down makes it much more likely that you will actually achieve them. If you have no idea about an annual income goal, see what you can earn at the end of the year when you get your W-2 form. If you have no idea of a monthly savings goal, you'll have a natural tendency to spend the money. How much do you want to be worth each month and each year? Have clear targets. You can't hit a target you can't see. The second step is taking stock. Work out your net worth. How much are you worth today exactly? How much do you owe exactly? What is your current net worth? What would you be worth today if you had to sell everything? Go through your entire financial life and make a list. Imagine that you had to sell all your assets and move to another country. You have to have a fire sale, a swap sale, or garage sale. How much would you have if you had to sell everything? Some people may say, I've got $100,000 worth of furniture. But if you had to sell your furniture, how much could you get for it? The answer is 10 cents on the dollar. If you had to sell most of your personal possessions, you'd be lucky to get 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. Be honest. How much would you really be worth today? And what is your financial goal for retirement? Analyze your current situation. Write down how much you have today on the bottom left-hand corner of a page. Up at the right-hand corner, you have your goal for retirement. Draw a line between the two. That tells you how far you have to go to accumulate 20 times your annual costs. The third key is trimming. Reducing your expenses. Carefully calculate every expense and evaluate it before you spend the money. Before you make an expenditure, write it down and think about it, and talk about it with others. Don't spend impetuously. Procrastinate about buying large items. Examine your biggest monthly expenses and look for ways to reduce or eliminate them. People usually buy or rent the biggest home that they can afford. But as of June 2021, Warren Buffett was worth over $108 billion. He lives in the same house he started off in 30 years ago and drives the same car he drove 10 years ago. Before he died, Sam Walton was driving a pickup truck he'd driven for 10 years. This attitude toward money spilled over into everything these men did. They constantly look for ways to reduce expenditures. You need to do the same thing. The fourth part is make yourself more valuable. Concentrate on your hourly rate. What is your hourly rate today? You get your hourly rate by taking your annual salary or income and dividing it by 2,000, the average number of hours worked in a year. For example, if today you are earning $50,000 a year, your annual income divided by 2,000 comes down to $25 an hour. Deciding to double your income means doubling your hourly rate to $50 an hour. What can you do to increase your value so that somebody will willingly pay you $50 an hour? That takes us back to the law of three. What are the three things that you do that contribute the most value, and how can you get better and better at those three things? Apply the 80-20 rule to your work. What are the 20% of the things that you do that contribute the greatest value? How could you do more of those things all day long? Finally, be prepared to change jobs. A young man who said he was 25 came up to me at a seminar. He said, I want to improve my life, but I'm a plumber. I've spent several years getting my journeyman ticket. I work for a plumbing company. But all the guys in this company who make money are the salespeople. They sell plumbing supplies to contractors. Why don't you become a salesman? I said. Well, I have to give up my training. Look, I said, forget about your training. Your most important responsibility is to earn the most you possibly can. You know lots about plumbing. You have a lot in common with the people you're talking to. I never thought about that, but I don't know how to sell. You can learn to sell by listening to audio programs, reading books, and going to courses. He said, by God, I will. About 2 years later, the man came up to me and said, remember me? I was a plumber. You told me to change jobs, so I did. I'm making triple what I was earning as a full-time plumber. I've never made so much money in my life. I've got a better house for my kids, a better car, a better life. We take better vacations. Thank you very much for your advice. Some jobs have a ceiling. Sometimes you've hit the ceiling no matter how hard you work or how good you are. The company won't pay you any more. It's time to find a better job. Now you're prepared for it. Now you're a good catch. Now you're the kind of person that employers will want to hire.